Welcome back to another episode of The Real Podcast of Dallas. Yes, The Real Podcast of Dallas, the only podcast dedicated to drug-free. It's the only podcast that keeps you company. It's the only podcast where you can hear the truth. You can hear. And who can we hear? Who can we hear on this podcast?
Who can we hear?
Who can we hear?
You can hear me.
You can hear you. And who else can we hear?
You can hear Miss Maria and Miss Cindy. Or Maria and Cindy, I guess it is.
Yes.
And Leo.
Yes.
I mean, you can hear Leo if you want to listen to Leo.
Yes. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yes, so Cindy and Maria, how are y'all?
I'm quarantining because I had a direct COVID exposure. My mother had COVID.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm just
Sorry to hear
I
that.
know. Yeah. I'm the one that tested her, too. I had to give her two tests twice to make sure I did it right. And they changed quite rapidly. So we've all been quarantining because we've had direct exposure.
Oh, okay. Well, I hate to start it like this because I'm playing the Welcome Back song and you just...
Oh, I'm sorry.
But it's okay. How are you, Maria?
But she's well, like I mean, your mom is like getting better, like
Yes.
she didn't suffer like severe symptoms or anything like that, right?
So she's starting to get better. She got worse, and then she's starting to get better. So yeah.
Right.
But you asked how I was, Leo.
Yes, I
So
did.
there you go.
All right, let me rewind a little bit. Okay. How are you? So you guys are Cindy? Well, yeah, you're quarantining. Okay, all right. And Maria, how can they hear this podcast if they want to hear this podcast? Just for a moment.
I did have to do Google the Real Podcast of Dallas, and you will have access to all the different links that you can find us through. So you'll find us on Facebook.
Right.
Facebook, you can find us on Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio.
Yes.
But the easiest way is just going through our Facebook account, because if you Google the Real Podcast of Dallas, it'll give you the link to the Facebook account, and then you'll have access to all our episodes.
Yes. So yes, and thank you, Maria. It's we have both of y'all. This is great.
It is great.
Yes, and I'm gonna do this again. There we go. So it's welcome back. And Cindy, you're in quarantine, as you were telling us. And wow, Maria, are you being safe out there?
I'm sorry?
Are you being safe out there?
Well, I mean, I'm keeping my, I'm following through with the guidelines, keeping my mask on, sanitizer.
Yeah.
The school that my room, I try to disinfect like every day before I leave. Like I'm just spray disinfecting spray, all the things and stuff. Look, I've been lucky. I haven't gotten sick, but we've had a lot of teachers and students who have come back positive with COVID at the school campus. So,
wow. Well, stay safe out there. And I mean, it's, I'm in area 51 and a half, and it's a hot spot for it. So, been taking precautions also, and been very fortunate not to have been sick or anything, but we just have to stay safe. But it's good to hear you guys back together. I've heard past episodes. I've been hearing past episodes, and I'm like, we've gotta get this again. So I appreciate y'all, because I know it's, for those of you listening, it's a Sunday night and it's 9, and they have to be at work tomorrow morning. So there's a big sacrifice. But we're doing it for you people.
Yeah.
We're doing it for you.
Of course.
Yes, and we're
doing it for you, but we like each other too.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yes.
This is fun.
And we have listeners from England. We have listeners in Senegal. We have listeners in India and Chile again, and we're having listeners just everywhere. So, and of course Dallas.
Wow.
A lot of listeners. So.
too, don't forget Mexico's listening too.
Say it again.
I said Mexico is listening to
Mexico
us
is
too.
listening. Mexico, yes. Several regions in
Yeah.
Mexico are listening, and Honduras. Just everywhere. So I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Does it show our the age group? I mean, like, because you've got an infant listening all the way up to
yeah. There's a. I know there's an infant for sure listening, but no, it doesn't have the demographics. But it does tell me that people are listening, and it's great. Every time we put out a new episode, there's more listeners. So, very, very good.
Yeah,
that
well,
we're doing
hopefully
that.
we'll make your granddaughter the smartest person in the world.
Well, she started
She's
young
starting
listening
young.
to it, so yes, she,
Yes, she's starting very young.
she will save thousands and thousands of dollars, not making the mistakes that
Right.
adults do. So, yes.
Exactly.
Well, it's good to hear you guys again, and again we'll be together in a studio one day. But
I know.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
yes, so
I can't wait either.
yeah, so a lot's happened, and again, I've listened to past episodes, and they've just been so good, and I was like, this thing that we did or doing is pretty impressive. So I see the importance in it.
Absolutely.
Yes. So what's new? What's out there? I haven't been in Dallas in a while. Other than COVID, are we seeing more issues, or what are other
Yeah,
people doing?
there's. I mean, it's still the suicide ideation and anxiety with adolescents and
Yeah.
adults, and COVID's just made it really, really hard. But
Right.
I think COVID has also brought to light that this issue, it was there all
Right,
along.
right.
I think that this just kind of brought it to the forefront and made it even more
Right.
more of an issue. I mean, people that were depressed or even
Right.
more
right,
depressed and whatnot.
Right.
So everybody needs help and everybody needs support, and that's true whether there's COVID or not, good days or bad days. Everybody needs each other. We all need help,
Yes.
and so that's the hope, is that with this podcast, we can bring that to light, so that it's okay to say I need help,
Right.
and it's okay to be confused.
Yeah. You're seeing the same thing, Maria?
Yes, I actually am. I think I've come across a lot of students who, have this sort of fear. Like even coming to school, can cause
Yeah.
fear on them. I received a phone call from a friend who knows of a young girl who is struggling. She cannot go to school. Like, she cannot get herself out of bed to go to school. And this little girl is only 13 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
It is. It really is. I'm actually planning on reaching out to the middle school that this student attends, so that they can try and follow up and try to come and visit year old, because she really needs it.
Yeah.
I think school is such a big place, and there's so much need. And right now, with teachers being sick and the inconsistencies of
Right.
scheduling and things, that students don't necessarily feel safe
Right.
at school.
Wow.
Where sometimes school used to be a safe place, but I think they feel lost in the crowd, so to speak.
Wow.
And so we have to remember to be especially kind to each other right now, because even if somebody's got on a pretty face or a nice smile, it doesn't mean that they're feeling okay.
You use the word kind, Cindy. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are people being kind?
Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I mean,
Because we did
I
the
don't think
show on
there's been a
kindness
big, yeah.
for a reason, and I guess it's still the same.
I don't think that. I think there's room for improvement. I think there are
Right.
people who are being kind, but I think that there's always those who are not, and that maybe that will be something that comes out of COVID. Maybe
Right.
people will start to be sensitive and kind to each other. But it's a huge need.
Right.
I think we get so caught up in our own personal world that we forget that
Right.
everybody's got something going on. Everybody, would appreciate kindness towards each other.
Yes. Yes.
And it just breaks my heart when you hear about the kids who are afraid to go to school and
Right.
the adults that are afraid to go to work and they have anxiety, and
right.
just fear is paralyzing. It
Yes.
is, and it's not as easy as just saying, okay, today I'm going to get out of bed and I'm just going to go through the motions. That can be,
Right.
face your fears can be such a cliche,
Right.
It's just not as easy as that.
Yeah. And,
So I wish that somebody could go with that little girl.
I know. Yes, I'm actually thinking I may have to go and give a visit out there, but I do want to contact the school because I didn't get too much information on it. It's just someone who my friend knows,
Right.
and she said that the parents didn't know what to do. So I think there's there's like a huge need, and then
Right.
at the same time, people don't know who to run to.
Right.
To get
no.
this kind of.
Right. I'm isolated where I'm at, area 51 and a half. And by the way, if you're
Yeah.
listening, this is the Real Podcast of Dallas, and we have Maria and Cindy back. And
Woohoo! We're back
Yes.
together, the three of us.
yes. So what I was saying is I'm isolated. So the times that I have gone back, I noticed that, people are more distant. People are more, of course, cautious. And there's people who are really not offering services. Services are very difficult to find. So I can
Yeah.
only imagine, because they're not doing the face-to-face, but they're also finding it hard to find people who will cover, I guess I want to say counselors and medical staff. There's people there's not enough. There wasn't enough already. And I can only imagine now, especially with,
Yeah.
some of them getting sick. And, it's a real epidemic.
Well, and it's interesting because school today is not like school when we were young. And so many kids in
Right.
school today, whether you're in elementary, middle, or high school,
Yes.
especially middle and high school, it doesn't mean the other kids in your class.
Right.
Like, that bonding's not happening.
Especially not now with COVID, right?
Right. And you might know, like, oh, I've seen that guy. He's
Right.
always wearing a yellow T-shirt or whatever, but you don't know his name, and
Right.
you've been going to class with him for 6 months or whatever. And so there is distance.
Yes.
And I mean, social media is the king on the street, or the queen, whatever.
Right.
And sometimes I wish that would just go away.
Yeah. And
Yes, I agree.
or maybe not, maybe use it to assist in somehow offering, some soothing words or something that'll help them connect in a positive way, like this medium that we have, the podcast, using it.
Yeah.
So if someone listens to this podcast, it's supposed to help with mental health. It's supposed to help you, with those teenage issues, parenting issues. So it can be used for positivity. And I think that if they at least put some messages in there, oh, by the way, if you need help, call this number, or if you need help, or you're not alone, especially now.